Patty starts us off today with maybe the comment that most aligns with what I'm thinking. She says this case is heartbreaking. Any way you look at it, I feel it was psychosis. She never would have done something like this if she were in her right mind. Of course, we're talking about the case of Lindsay Clancy, the Massachusetts mom who nobody nobody disputes took the lives of her three children: 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan Clancy. It is a sad, sad, heartbreaking, tragic case. And it made me wonder, why do we put ourselves through this? Why do we put ourselves through this? And actually, the Boston Globe wrote something really good today that we're going to get into as we cover what happened on the seventh day of the trial of Lindsay Clancy for the murder of her three children. We've got so much to actually go through in this case today. How to cover a case like this, why talk about it. We're going to talk about the witnesses that were there today, the medications, the differing amounts and differing drugs that were prescribed to this poor woman who, in at least from what I can tell, was like searching. She was begging for relief. And then we're also going to listen to some of the testimony of the Clancy family nanny. So there's just so much to talk about. Of course, I want to remind you that tonight at 7:30, so we're going to get through all this content as quickly as we can, but tonight at 7:30 on YouTube for YouTube members and for patrons, we have our after show. We're going to do our weekly after show, and in the after show, we can talk about anything, we can do anything. In fact, there's been one at the suggestion of Mooney that we do it down in my darkroom while I was working on a print from an 8x10 negative that was taken by my high school photography teacher. It was a blast. We're not doing that tonight, but in our after shows that's for members only and patrons only. So members and patrons only is how I should say that. We're going to talk about the little journey that I've been on to read 6 classics in 2026. I just finished that this week. So hopefully that will be a fun conversation that we can have about, life lessons and things that fiction writers teach us, some of the greats, and, how it's okay not to want to read that stuff too. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But before we get to that, of course, we've got the Clancy case that we're going to talk about. We've got some updates in the Nolan Wells case, the Anna Kepner case, the Sandra Birchmore case, the Alex Murdaugh case. We've got some good news that isn't as uplifting as yesterday's. I mean, yesterday's I came out of our live stream clicking my heels together. I was so happy. But it's still good news, and it's going to leave us with a little fresher taste in our mouth. I feel like true crime is delicious, but we walk away from this meal reeking of onions and garlic, and we just every once in a while need the refreshing spearmint of good news. Of course, we're going to get into 3 questions and everything too. So we got a lot to get to today. Oh, but you know where we should start? I did this wrong yesterday. Where we should start before we do the whole intro. Javi's over there ready to push a button. Why don't we talk about the question of the day? Let's ask the question of the day. This is your homework in the live chat and in the comments. What is your go-to I just need to relax activity? Now, I think many of you are going to say, listen to a true crime podcast or something like that, and that's okay too, but what is your go-to I need to relax activity? Maybe besides true crime. If it's true crime, that's cool. It's cool. And of course, this is a little foreshadowing of our 3 questions here in a little bit. So That's the question of the day. Put a GF in your comment. Tell me where you're tuning in from. That makes my day. To dinner and a birthday party for his little sister, and she says, "Oh, we can be fast friends already. Marry Will. He's a great guy. We can be sisters." That's kind of how, like, you and I, we could be friends. We could be friends. And some of you who watch on the daily, mods and so forth, we have met in person, and I do feel that way towards y'all. And I hope to meet more friends as we get together at crime cons, stuff like that. Anyway, guys, we are talking about the case of Lindsay Clancy. It's really the case of Cora, Dawson, and Callan Clancy, the kiddos you see on your screen right now. These are our victims, ages 5, 3, and just 8 short, precious months. In this photo, you can see them with their father, Patrick. This is a photo with all of the Clancy family at a time where everybody is well and looking happy. It did not end happy. Patrick went out to do some errands, and when he came home, he found that his wife was on the front lawn. She was injured. Turned out she was paralyzed. He goes inside and he finds their children dead. And there's no question as to what happened to them. The question is she criminally responsible? Or is she not guilty by reason of insanity? And this is one of those cases where, oh my goodness, I don't want to believe that a mother that is not insane, you guys follow, could do what was done to these beautiful little children. I just don't want to even fathom that it's even possible that a sane, rational person could take the lives of their own children, the innocent lives of their own children. But and so I think I naturally lean toward that she's insane. It's not possible that she's sane unless she gives off the vibes of like Corey Richins, where I'm like, okay, no, this isn't insanity. This is just evilness, evil doing, right? So that's what has been on display for the last 7 trial days. Today was an interesting day. The part that I found most interesting was the testimony of the nanny. We're going to get into that here in a little bit, but first, let's bring up. I'm going to bring up Patrick and the kids. That makes me feel better. Let's check in to see what you guys are thinking on the question of the day and telling me where you are checking in from. Let's see. Miss Chivo's Dragon's always good to see you chiming in from Central Texas. Oh, what else have we got? Saudi Daisy, Tennessee. I want to know if Saudi Daisy, Tennessee is a real place. Coffee time for D. I've been reading it like it is. Saudi Daisy, Tennessee. Oh my goodness. What? Saudi Daisy is a city in Hamilton County, Tennessee. The population was 13,070 at the 2020 census. It's it is home to Hamilton County's first courthouse and government seat, Poe's Tavern. That's anyway. There I was thinking, maybe you're pulling the wool over my eyes. Nope, you are indeed where you say you're from. Why would I even second guess that? It seems disrespectful and churlish is what it is. I gotta be better. Okay, Cabling says the nanny was very telling. I have to think the doctors are as much to blame as she is. It's difficult for many women who never had kids and wanted them to think she could do this. Yeah. Tina May saying, hey, swimming. Swimming is what I do when I just need a relaxing activity. That is not what I do when I need to relax, but it is something my father-in-law is like, take me to the river, man. Just give me something to float on and go and let me have some floaty time on the water. So I get it. My wife is that way too. We have paddle boards. We go out to the water. It's pretty fun. Michelle Mangum says crochet. Marie Jubenville says true crime is the main entree and good news is the dessert. Indeed. Wingate Kid says cup of coffee and coloring. Coloring is a delightful activity. It is. Cold Aquarius says box breathing. Box breathing. Okay, well, I had to look up Saudi Daisy. You might as well look up what box breathing is. What is it? Box breathing is a simple, powerful relaxation technique involving equal counts of inhaling, holding, exhaling, and holding. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay. That seems like a good way to relax. I'm more of a give me a giant tub of popcorn and a soda and watch a movie kind of guy, but awesome for you. Tina May says, correction, listening to true crime while swimming. Those bone conduction headphones are an amazing thing for doing just that. Sharky Sharona says, I hiked 20 miles yesterday on the Tahoe Rim Trail. My go-to today has been Epsom salt bath, an Epsom bath, and using Normatec compression boots and hips. All right. Yeah, giving yourself a little self-love, some exercise. Garth B. Nutt says playing Farm Together 2 on my Switch 2. Coffee Time for D says get in the pool and float. Kim Kroll says the massage chair, which may lead to a nap. I have invested in the delight of the home massage chair, and it does lead to a nap or two. I have to say my model is not long enough for me. I'm on the taller end. I'm not like super tall, but I'm on the taller end, and I kind of wish that when it puts me back into that second position, the full recline, that my legs could be farther out. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty darn awesome. Let's see. My activity is to spend time in my craft room. Creativity helps me. Yeah, creativity for me is less about relaxing and more about an outlet of energy. That's probably the same thing, right? I guess. Mooney says playing music really loud relaxes me. Michelle says Azle, Texas, outside of Fort Worth, checking in there. Christine Meadows watching from good old Marietta, Georgia. Melbourne, Australia is in the house. I think you might. This is Chili Karen with a little chili emoji. Very nice. You might win the farthest viewing distance. Quilting Girl, Quilt Gal says here from humid Greensboro, North Carolina. Glad you are here. True Crime Valentine checking in from San Diego. San Diego. Archangel says drinking tea while watching a good video or checking my socials. I'm kind of that way too. I spend I spend too much time, I think, on social media. Frida says, if Javier needs a break from your shenanigans, I recommend Alejandro. He's even better looking, and he promises not to try to take over. And also on the bench is Marcelo, right? Yeah. Lynn says, my go-to is being in the yard gardening. We have a neighbor who is such a good gardener, and that one is not relaxing to me. Shawnabo says driving with music blasting and the windows down. Kim Kroll checking in from Beaver Creek, Ohio. So good that you are here. And then Aunt Tiss says golf or taking a nice bubble bath. Jennifer says I love to go out into the garden and get my hands dirty, planting flowers. Nice. And Elizabeth McMasters, during warm weather, I like to float in our pool while listening to 80s music. Ah, yes. In colder weather, watch TV under a fleece blanket with my coffee. Mary says listening to music with headphones while crafting, total zone out. And Becky says I like to walk in the park behind my townhome, walk around the lake, and appreciate the trees and birds watching in Florida. That sounds delightful. That sounds delightful. Thank you guys for checking in with the question of the day. That got us going. That got us humming along. Let me take you first. Let's get into it, shall we? Take you first over to here where I want to read an article from the Boston Globe. This is a terrific article. It comes from a journalism perspective, but I think those of us who are enthusiasts of true crime, we can also learn from this and kind of, I guess, empathize with it, right? The title is How the Boston Globe is Covering Lindsay Clancy's Trial. On Thursday morning, as several dozen journalists waited to be let into the courtroom for more testimony in Lindsay Clancy's murder trial, our thoughts were still on what jurors and all of us in the spectator section had heard the day before. The 911 recording of Clancy's then-husband, Patrick, screaming in agony as he discovered the bodies of the couple's 3 children in the basement of their Doxbury home on January 24th, 2023. Of course, this is something that you and I haven't heard unless you were in the courtroom. It is not to be released. Continuing says, was so raw that several jurors and spectators, including members of the media, fought tears. All of us covering this high-profile case feel the weight of the daily presentation of graphic evidence about the slayings of 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan. Lindsay Clancy has admitted to strangling each of her children with exercise bands after sending her husband out to pick up some over-the-counter medication and take out for dinner. But she has pleaded not guilty to the criminal charges, mounting an insanity defense case, asserting that she was suffering from severe postpartum mental illness and heard a voice telling her to kill the children and herself. Clancy's defense raises important questions about the intersection of postnatal care, maternal mental health, and the justice system. Yeah, this is one where I even wonder why prosecutors have brought this case. But they must believe that they've got a case, so I won't second guess that. Continuing the article, the nature of the crime and the detailed testimony present journalists with a delicate task, reporting on how an important and prominent case is unfolding without sensationalizing it. But it's equally important that journalists not sanitize the facts, which would deprive readers of an understanding of the case and ultimately the verdict. Part of the journalistic calculus is in deciding what not to publish. Although 2 Globe reporters heard the 911 call played in court, the Globe chose not to describe its most harrowing moments because we concluded that publishing the details would add little to the reader's understanding of the case while amplifying the trauma around it. Judge William F. Sullivan also barred the media and the public from publishing audio of the 911 call made by Patrick Clancy after he discovered his children, along with autopsy photographs. Our reporting starts with the facts presented in court and dives deeper by asking questions that jurors, legal experts, doctors, and the public may be asking. We're asking what, if anything, appears to have contributed to Clancy's psychiatric decline. What role, if any, did pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum care play? Who noticed what when? If Clancy, a labor and delivery nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital, could not find appropriate care, as she and her ex-husband have claimed in separate civil suits, how might other mothers, especially those less savvy about the medical system, fare? So well written and so well put. These are important questions for us as society. And it's important we talk about it. Our newsroom's approach includes several reporters covering the testimony live from Plymouth Superior Court, while others are digging into the medical, legal, and policy questions that the trial has laid bare. Video recaps are being uploaded daily along with our biggest takeaways. Our goal is to provide readers with accurate, deeply reported context while allowing the evidence presented in court to speak for itself. We are diligently checking each fact, digging into discrepancies, and interviewing independent medical and legal experts for their perspectives. So I think this is a responsible assignment from the Globe's editors to talk about, hey, this is why we're doing it. And I think as true crime buffs like you are and like I am, I think we need to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Are we doing this simply to be, in my case, simply to horrify others, to get clicks, to get to get money and stuff like that? If that is the case, I'm doing a horrible job, because this is an unpopular case on my channel. So I mean, I am covering this hoping to be compensated for the coverage of it, sure. But we want to be responsible. We don't want to add to the sensationalism of it. We don't want to, whip up emotions that might lead to, like the case of Nolan Wells, in Nolan Wells' case, that might lead to actual threats against a person's person, right? So we want to be extremely sensitive that these are 3 little kiddos that lost their lives, and we want to know why. We want to know why these little treasures lost their lives, and if indeed it was a case of severe postpartum psychosis, how can we prevent something like this from happening in the future? Not just that one little community, but all of us in our families, in our communities. How can we work to prevent something like this happening again? And that is not to say that there is any blame that I am like pointing towards anybody in this case, because I think from what I have seen so far, everybody was sincerely working toward good health for Lindsay. And it's yet to be known if a jury will find her guilty or not guilty by reason of insanity. So, man, there's just a lot here, and I want us to do our best to be responsible. For me, a responsible creator of content, and for you watching, maybe you are a creator as well, so maybe that applies to you too. But for those that are consuming this, just that we do so responsibly and without whipping up our emotions to actions that are inappropriate. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I appreciate the Globe for writing that. Today, day 7, I took some notes. We had a whole bunch of testimony today, though it happened pretty briefly. We had a physician's assistant. We had a former state police toxicology expert. We had a forensic scientist, and we had the family nanny, Elaine. Is it Rossi or Rossi? I can't remember. I think it's Rossi. And this is after, a parade of witnesses. Let me just go through this. So far, Lindsay Clancy's former husband, Patrick Clancy, was the witness on day 1, also on day 2. On day 3, it was mostly first responders, right? So Stephen Hall, police officer, Brian Josephine, a police officer, PJ Hussey, a fire department captain and paramedic, Loring Nudd, a firefighter, Keith Nettie, fire department captain, Patrick Dwyer, a firefighter, Jennifer Stratton, a firefighter paramedic, Robert Costanzo, firefighter paramedic, Daniel Doherty, firefighter paramedic, and Vincent Cahill, police officer. Day 4 was the day that the jury was taken to the home and to other relevant locations, right? The CVS where Patrick picked up the medicine, the restaurant where he got takeout, and then the former Clancy home where they're no longer living. Later that day, an ER physician, Dr. Benjamin Kaufman, testified about treating little Callan, who arrived not breathing, received CPR, epinephrine, briefly regained his little heartbeat, but did not show any brain function, and he was not able to breathe on his own, and so he passed. We had Dr. Tenerovitz, who described efforts to revive Dawson, pronounced him dead after long resuscitation efforts, right? We had on that day Richard Lippart, a police officer from Doxbury, who testified about accompanying Lindsay at the hospital and her serious medical condition during transport. Of course, she was bleeding. She had thrown herself from the second story. She had issues. Day 5, this past Monday, was mostly medical psychiatric, evidence search testimony. Dr. Michael Snyder was the one who primarily treated Cora Clancy. He testified. Dr. David Cassavant talked about Callan's brain swelling. He was declared dead a few days later. Dr. Kelly McDonough testified that Lindsay was hypothermic, reportedly with a temperature of 82.1. She was intubated to protect her airway. She described the wrist neck lacerations as superficial. We had a nurse. We had we had a couple nurses. We had a forensic psychiatrist who testified that Lindsay was in the hospital 2 days after the killings, did not observe signs of psychosis in that brief evaluation. She acknowledged, though, on cross, the interview was limited. Lindsay was exhausted, intubated, and psychosis can present differently depending on the person. We had a MSP investigator who testified about evidence found during the search, including postpartum depression books, workbooks, things like that. State police evidence witness processed Lindsay's journals. And then yesterday was mostly forensics and toxicology, right? Had a major stipulation moment yesterday. Clancy confirmed she agreed to stipulations on post-mortem testing of the children, including toxicology, proper testing procedures, sample testing. And her attorney said that those stipulations would avoid calling way more witnesses, shortening the trial. Okay, so today we had Aiton Negri testified about treating Lindsay's wrist cuts, including that she had wounds that required stitches. We also had Nicholas Roberts, former state police toxicology worker, testified that there was no alcohol or marijuana in Lindsay's system, but that benzodiazepines were found. Of course, with the list of drugs that she was prescribed, not surprising. Dr. Justin Brower, who is a forensic scientist with NMS Labs, who I have actually seen personally testify in trials here in Pennsylvania. NMS is a PA lab, and our county and the counties around here use them. Anyway, Dr. Brower testified that 4 drugs used to treat depression and psychosis were found in Lindsay's system, none at lethal levels, and that the combination could depress the central nervous system. And then came Elaine Rossi, the family nanny. She worked for the family from September to early December of 2022. She testified that Lindsay told her about postpartum issues, about sleep problems, her medications, her weight loss, and sleeping in the basement. But Rossi said she had no concerns about the children's safety. She described Lindsay as a loving, wonderful mother, which, again, is one of the reasons why we go, huh? Right? She described each of the children personally, being their nanny. She would have loved those kids. Um, they also played a short video of Callan taking a bottle. Oh, that breaks me up, man. There were some more stipulations today about DNA, including facts about known DNA standards, DNA on the exercise band, or all the exercise bands. Reporting says all 5 Clancy members' DNA was found on part of the blue exercise band. So they did those stipulations. So a busy day in court, but probably less busy than what it would have been had they not done all those stipulations beforehand, right? So I'm glad that they did that. The jurors would have had to sit through such dry testimony. So what I've done here is this is Miss Rossi, the former nanny. Her testimony was about an hour, maybe not quite. There was a gap, a break in between 2 segments. And so what I've done is I've just chosen a couple of the places that I thought were pertinent, that were a good part of her testimony. You will see as I make cuts, you'll see a white flash. I added that in there to indicate that I'm cutting, just to be responsible here, right? But out of her testimony, which if I remember correct, actually, let me look this up so I know exactly. The video showing her testimony is a total of 37 minutes and 10 seconds. So I have shortened down her 37 minutes down to about 12, just for the sake of the time that we have with us or together. So not to hide anything. I mean, you can definitely go to the AP or to the USA Today and you can watch all of this. I know that Josh is covering this. There are tons of channels that are covering this live. I'm personally not, but I just cut it down for the sake of the time that we have together today. I did not bump up the audio, so you might find that it a little bit low, but I just wanted, before we start, why don't I give you just a quick headphone, warning. Maybe pull off the headphones a little bit like this, or pull out the earbuds while we get started so that you can set your volume. I did not bump up this volume though, so it might be a little low. Okay, here we go.
During the course of the time in which you were at the Clancy's house,
this was on
fair to
USA
say
Today,
from
by the way.
September to early December is the time that you were there, 3 days a week.
Yes.
Did you come to find out that Lindsay was having some issues?
I did.
Did she talk to you about that?
She did.
And what did she tell you about her issues?
She shared with me that she was suffering from postpartum.
Now, when she shared this information with you,
was she suffering from postpartum depression, or was she suffering from postpartum psychosis? Maybe she didn't know.
did you notice anything different about her demeanor or her presentation around the house?
I didn't at all.
Had her trips out of the house when you were there stopped or decreased during that time period?
No.
And did she tell you that at that time that she was seeing some doctors?
She did.
What about medication? Did you have any conversations with her about her taking medication during that time period?
I think we talked about she was going to stop a medication because she was trying to stop nursing.
That she was going to stop medication or she was going to start medication?
I think she was trying to stop something because she was going to, oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
She was not going to nurse Callan anymore because she was going to be starting a new medication.
Did she ever give...
Okay, so I think what the prosecution here is trying to establish for the jury, and oftentimes they don't like put it on neon signs or anything, right? I think what they're trying to establish here is that maybe Lindsay was saying that she was having issues, but did you see any issues? Did you see anything? And by the way, let's just pause here for a second. We'll come back to it. Don't worry. And look at this list of the prescriptions that Lindsay Clancy got from September of 2022 through, through January of 2023. Different doctors, different doses, different drugs. Sertraline, lorazepam, hydroxyzine, buspirone, what else do we have? Trazodone, fluoxetine, zolpidem, mirtazapine, clonazepam, quiepatine, diazepam, and they're it looks like what they're doing here is an effort to not only find the right medication or combination of medications, but the right dosage. And this is one of the things, I'm not an expert, right? But what I fear is that what I fear is that there's kind of a fastness and looseness with trying things at different drugs and different levels of them, going back and forth. Having said that, again, no expert, right? I'm not an expert, and I also think that maybe part of the process has to be that, like, see how this person with this unique biology responds to this. Oh, doesn't respond positively, let's change the dose or change the combination and try another thing. And I've seen this in case after case after case. This seems like standard practice. But if you just look at this and just go, oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like there's got to be 30 different changes over the course of those, 1, 2, 3, let's call them 4 months, a little over 4 months. It's nuts. And let's see. So we've got an antidepressant. We've got an anti-anxiety. We've got a benzodiazepine that treats seizures and panic disorder. A benzodiazepine for anxiety. Let's see. Serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It's to treat depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, an antihistamine to treat allergies, anxiety, an antiepileptic, a mood stabilizer, a benzodiazepine to treat anxiety, an antidepressant, an antipsychotic, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, a serotonin antagonist and reuptake inhibitor, sedative. I mean, there's just so much going on here. And the fact that Lindsay Clancy is or was a labor and delivery nurse and was apparently recognizing symptoms and seeking treatment. I mean, I honestly don't know why the prosecution brought this case. But you may disagree with me, and I may be wrong, right? So, but that conversation about the drugs, dude, that is a lot of change. How many individual drugs is that? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different prescription drugs, and the drugs and or their dosage was changed. I'm going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Scroll. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 32 times over that 4 months. I mean, looking in hindsight, having 2020 vision looking back, right? That seems like if you'll pardon the pun, a prescription for disaster. Again, I'm a layperson. What do I know? This is only my opinion. But my goodness, 32 different drug prescription changes, additions, subtractions, and everything over, what did I say, 13? What is it? I think 13 different drugs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different drugs. And we got this one, and this little one, and this little one, who are no longer with us, because I think that was again, pardon the pun, but I think it was a prescription for disaster. I really do. Oh my goodness. All right, let's continue.
You any details about the medication?
She didn't.
Do you recall seeing prescription bottles around the house?
I did.
Did you ever learn from Lindsay that she had gone to the emergency room in November of 2022?
No.
How about going to the emergency room in December of 2022?
No.
Did anything about your arrangements with coming on the 3 days, caring for Callan and sometimes Cora, did any of that ever change because of what she reported to you about having postpartum?
Only at the end of my time with them.
Okay, we'll get there in a second. But did you have the occasion to observe her interacting with the children?
I did.
And did you have any concerns about her interacting with the children?
None at all. She was a wonderful mom.
She was a wonderful mom.
Moving to Thanksgiving of 2022.
That was my cut, by the way.
Did something change about the plan for her to go back to work?
Yes, I came in, I think it was a few days after Thanksgiving, maybe the day after Thanksgiving, and Lindsay was in the kitchen, and I had expected her to be asleep.
Why was that?
Because I thought she was working that shift, that Thanksgiving shift. And she told me that she wouldn't be going back to work.
And was there any further conversation of what the plan was for you and the family during that time period?
No, I think I mentioned if she wasn't going back to work and that if they didn't need me, if they could let me know.
Okay. And so do you recall being at the home at one point where Patrick and Lindsay left the house and came back?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that interaction?
Of course. Patrick and Lindsay went for a walk, and when they returned, I was in the living room on the floor with Callan, and they came in and told me that they would have to let me go because Lindsay would not be going back to work, and the two of them would be home to care for the children.
Okay. And so did they give you anything else, any other information about why Lindsay wasn't going back to work during that meeting?
No.
Okay. And did they give you some time to kind of make other arrangements after that?
They did. I believe they gave me 2 weeks.
And during that time after Thanksgiving, did you have the occasion to see Lindsay interacting with the kids in the home?
I did.
And was anything about your observations of her different?
Nothing. Cora and Dawson played well.
That's another cut from me.
There was one occasion in the kitchen where they were playing, and I think Cora took one of his Play-Doh, something, he was playing with Play-Doh, and his reaction.
For those of you who are listening and not watching, the camera is on Lindsay Clancy right now, and she's got her head down in her hands. This is something that we never see in, like, for example, the one that keeps coming to me is like Corey Richins, right? They'll sit there stoically, like, I cannot believe that the world is combining against me to cast spurious charges upon me. They have this certain amount of pride. Lindsay Clancy, she has been breaking down throughout the whole trial. But anyway, for those of you who can't, I should put an audio cue for when I cut. Sorry about that. That's why I've been like breaking in and going, hey, there's a cut there.
He was frustrated, and he's reached out and slapped Callan.
Now, were you alone with the kids during this interaction, or was Lindsay present too?
Lindsay was, I think, in the kitchen at the same time.
Did you see her react to that when she saw that behavior?
She did.
And what was the reaction? What did she do?
She went over and removed Callan. She removed Dawson from the room and came back and consoled Callan.
Okay. And eventually, did you see her go back and kind of talk to Dawson about his behavior and address it? Okay. And was that appropriate in your opinion?
Of course, yes.
So I honestly think the prosecutor is trying to lay out for the jury that they believe that everything was fine with her. She may say that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis, postpartum depression, mental illness brought on postpartumly, but at least to everybody watching her, she was acting like a regular old mom. She was doing mom things. The boys were Dawson slapped Callan, and she did the regular mom thing. She separated them. She consoled one of them. She went over and talked to the other. You know, that's what she's trying to do here.
How about how you would describe Callan? How would you describe him? You spent the most time with him, correct?
I did. He was the happiest, sweetest, easiest baby. He was just a love.
Oh,
Thank you.
happiest, sweetest, easiest baby, just a love. And Lindsay has her head in her hands still.
If Lindsay had told you in one of these exchanges, and again, you exchanged mostly either in this notebook or via text, right?
Correct.
If she told you about working out, do you know if she wasn't in the basement where she would go to work out?
I think it was the Kingsbury Club.
And as far as when you stopped working for them, do you remember exactly when it was? You said maybe 2 weeks after
I think
Thanksgiving.
it was December 8th or December 10th.
And in the time that you were with the Clancys in their households, caring for their kids, you know, interacting with Patrick and Lindsay, did you ever have any concerns that the children were not safe?
No.
They
Okay,
wanted to know
that was a
what kind
cut
of a mother
again.
she was, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now that was direct examination. Now we're on cross from the defense. Here we go.
And you were able to respond to that, right?
I did.
They also wanted to know any observations that you had about her use of prescription drugs, right?
Yes.
And you were forthcoming on that as well, right? They also wanted to know whether or not you observed or she made any statements about any symptomology or symptoms that she might have been having that were causing her difficulty, right?
Yes.
Do you recall indicating to the troopers that, in your opinion, that she was a loving and a doting mother?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what that means? I mean, what did you observe about what did you observe about her as a mother interacting with her kids?
I observed a wonderful mom who loved her kids, she was very concerned with their safety. She was very concerned with Callan's eating and sleeping. She was a wonderful mother.
And
That just makes this all the more sad, right? And it's really funny because the defense and the prosecution seem to be eliciting the same testimony for different reasons. The prosecution, I think their reason is to show, hey, look, she wasn't in any kind of psychosis like she's claiming. She was behaving like a regular old mom. She was taking care of the kids. She was not going back to work. She was going to stay home, and everything was honky-dory. She did everything great. She was a wonderful mother. And the defense is going, there was something wrong, obviously, because she was a wonderful mother. She was a doting and loving and caring mother. Something went wrong, right?
district attorney asked you questions about what apparently is Exhibit 150 in this case. And that's the book that she would write notes to you on, and then you would on occasion write notes back to her. Is that right?
Yes.
So when the district attorney asked you to identify her writing, so like also there were like photographs like that in the book as well, right? You know who would draw that? Would she draw that, or would you draw
I
that?
think I drew that.
You do that one?
Yeah, I think so.
And for example, Thursday, September 29th, it says Callan last fed time, put him down for a nap at 9:35 with a smiley face. We will be home. Clean the clothes in the dryer if you get to it, and then up Callan up at 10:45, and then some scribbling mark on the bottom. That's an indication of the type of notes that she would leave for you.
Correct.
Would she also leave notes for you to the effect of cutting up sweet potatoes and cutting up celery and things in 1-inch squares so that the kids to eat?
Yes, food prep, yes.
Did you find that to be overbearing, or
Well, not at all.
you didn't find that to be controlling, that she was trying to exert a control over you, did you?
Not at all.
Felt that was appropriate for her to tell you about the cutting up of the vegetables and squares and things?
Yes.
She also told you during that period of time that she was unable to sleep. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Told you that lack of sleep was becoming a significant impact on her life, and that she had to see doctors and was on medication for that, right?
Correct.
Again, the troopers were questioning you and directing you on your questions or your answers. And at one point, do you recall saying to the trooper, I loved my Lindsay?
I loved my Lindsay.
Yeah.
I don't recall saying that.
Okay, did you?
Do I love Lindsay?
Yeah.
I did love Lindsay, yes.
Now, when was she sleeping in the basement? Do you remember that?
Do I know when or why?
When was she sleeping in the basement?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember, if I suggest to you that it was around the end of November, mid-December, that she was sleeping in the basement for a period of time? If you remember.
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Okay. Did she indicate to you why she was sleeping in the basement?
I don't think she did.
Would you agree that she was forthright with you as far as telling you what was going on in her life, as far as her concentration and her inability to sleep and things of that nature?
Yes.
Sustained.
Would she tell you about those problems that she was suffering?
She shared with me that she had postpartum and that she couldn't sleep.
And as a result of that, you were pretty concerned for her, weren't you?
I do have to pause. Was it Kay Bling who said in her comment earlier, I hate it when people just say she had postpartum. What does that mean? That's like, I do wish that people would be more specific on things. I understand that language is what language is, and you know, we communicate the way we do, but I do wish that people would be more specific on that stuff. I had an employee who would talk about her bipolar. Like, what is it? Like, my bipolar this and my bipolar that. Like, okay, you're bipolar what? You know? I really need to know, because I want to be helpful here. So yeah, the postpartum, what is she saying? She said she had postpartum. Does that mean she said she had postpartum depression? Or did she say she was having postpartum psychosis? Those two things are different things. In fact, anything can be postpartum if you had just had a baby. She had a postpartum snack. She had postpartum, I don't know, IBS. That I wish people would be more specific on that, but that's a little bit of a soapbox. I can get off it.
I really don't know much about postpartum, but I would always ask her how she was feeling
Right.
or how she was doing.
And in fact, you noted that in addition to the inability to sleep, that she would speak about that she was unable to focus. Do you recall her ever saying she had difficulty focusing on things?
I don't recall her saying that to me.
How about thin? Did you notice that she appeared to be losing significant weight?
I did, and I commented to her about that.
Okay. And you had occasion to see her as a mother playing with the children, obviously, right?
Yes.
Would the two of you stay in touch with each other by text even when she was out and you were home, in their home with the kids?
Yes.
Fair to say that you would take many, many videos of the kids and send them to Lindsay on her phone, right?
I did.
And fair to say that during that period of time, from your involvement, Ms. Rossi, as a nanny, that you sent her videos of the children playing, and as we saw the baby taking a bottle and the baby eating and things of that nature, right?
I did.
Did she ever send you any videos, or did she ever respond to your emails or videos?
Yes, she responded to Most of my texts she responded to.
She seemed to be appreciative of your work,
Yes, very much so.
and in fact, she was pretty vocal about that. She thought the world of you, right?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
And that's the end of the video that I've got here. To me, and I recognize the comments that are being shared over in the live chat about misinformation, right? And unless you're watching the whole thing, you don't, whatever. Yeah, we need to be very careful about spreading things that are not true, but we can also express our opinions, right? And in my opinion, what I'm seeing here is a prosecution, like I've said before, trying to show jurors that she was not psychotic. She was not in psychosis. She did not have mental health issues. She was a doting, regular, normal old mom. Listen to these witnesses. Listen to this witness say that she was a wonderful mother. How can she be in psychosis? That's what it looks like to me. And then on the other side of that, the defense going, there's obviously something wrong here. She was great until she wasn't, right? So, yeah. Oh, it was Becky who said that about postpartum. It was not cabling. I apologize. Talk about misinformation. It was not cabling. It was Becky Johnson who said that about postpartum. Well, thank you very much for correcting me. But the point still stands. It's just that Becky's on my team now. So I guess, the trial will continue. I am curious if there is a jury that will convict. Like, there just seem to be so many problems. So many problems. Let me do a quick little search here. I was just going to check to... let's see, it's an 18-person jury for a Lindsay Clancy murder trial. 12 women and 6 men. Yeah, that cuts both ways. There are, like, you want to make a jury that is, one, a jury of your peers, and 2, will give you a fair trial. I think it kind of cuts both ways. If some women will go send her away forever because she killed those 3 babies, and other will say, I empathize with her, or I sympathize with her, because either I felt that myself before, or I know people who have. So I don't know. The composition of the jury: 12 women, 6 men. That includes 12 primary deliberating jurors and 6 alternates, though the specific individual roles will not be designated till the end of the trial. So I guess we will see. Let me just check in on a couple of comments here. Frida People says, my mother had bad mental illness when my siblings and I were young, hospitalized often, so doctors knew. Neighbors saw her. I'm not going to use that word on YouTube, but, physically, I guess, is what you're talking about. Outside, physically, maybe attacking you outside. Our dad knew no help until she made an attempt on her own life. Yeah, I think a lot of times too, we just don't know what to do, right? We just don't know what to do. And we've got to find a way to, 1, know, and 2, act. It's just so tragic, man. It's just heartbreaking. As Patty said at the beginning of this, of our coverage today. So that's where we're going to pause it for today in our coverage of this case. We will continue to watch it, see what happens, but we still have some more stuff to talk about. We've got, what do we have? We've got some headlines in the Nolan Wells case, the Anna Kepner case, the Sandra Birchmore case, the Alex Murdaugh retrial. We've got some good news that should give us a little happy respite from what is otherwise a heavy burden of carrying around this little hobby of ours. But before we hop into that, how about you and I answer some questions? It's 3 questions. Here we go.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Okie dokie, guys. In 3 questions, as you know, I answer 3 of your questions that you send to me at 3questions@gavinfish.com. Now, I'm not directing this at anybody in particular, especially when we got so many new people that hang out with us, right? But the appropriate place to send your questions is 3questions@gavinfish.com. Don't try to sneak it. Don't try to be sneaky and put in that question for 3 questions in the live chat. The appropriate venue. It's all about venue, right? Your Honor, the venue is appropriate if you send it into 3questions@gavinfish.com. And my solemn promise, my covenant, my pledge is that I will answer all of your questions, but I will do so 3 at a time in the order that I see fit. And bonus points if you ask questions that other people can play along with, which I think you guys have done pretty well today. Here we go. Question number 1. Who's your favorite TV family? You know what? Notwithstanding what we found out later about about Mr. Cosby, I would say the Huxtables on the Cosby Show were my favorite family. I thought they were hilarious, and I loved the relationship with the son-in-law, Elvin. I thought that was hilarious. What would be my next runner-up? My next runner-up, you know what my next runner-up would be? It would be this is cheating, but the selected school family in TV's Community. That, I know that it's not a TV family. I'm breaking the rules, but this is for runner-up. That show has some of the best family dynamic between characters that are not family of any other show I've ever seen. It's terrific. So that I cheated a little bit, but I answered directly before I came in through the back door. It's fine. All right. Question number 2 from Kimberly. Not Mrs. Kimberly Fish, my sweetie pie, my snuggly bear, my one and only. This is a different Kimberly. What is your favorite board game or card game? I am not a board and card game player. Now, my in-laws, my Kimberly's family, they are all about it. Oh my goodness. I would rather have like my spleen carved out with a spoon than play Monopoly. Oh, it's the worst. It's just the worst. But boy, do people I love that game. So if I must play a board game, it must be something that can be played now and be done with. So Clue, I guess. Now, I do like playing spoons. I like playing Tenzi, stuff like that. Things that are fast, things that are snappy, things that are upbeat, as Tom Hanks said in the classic 90s, 1996, if I remember correctly, movie That Thing You Do. So I like the snappy ones. And question number 3. What is a movie you can watch over and over again? Hey, I kind of answered this already with the whole Notting Hill thing. I do love the rom-com, the humble rom-com. I love it. But my very favorite genre of movie is Western. My favorite Western of all time is a movie called Open Range. It is the finest Western movie ever made, in my opinion. And again, Westerns are my jam. There's so many that are so good. But Open Range is the finest Western ever made. It stars Robert Duvall, Kevin Costner, Annette Bening, Michael Gambon, and a young Diego Luna. I just made that realization this week. I had a dream about Open Range earlier this week and realized I recognized Button's voice. That's the character's name. I recognized Button's voice, and that is Diego Luna. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it is. So Open Range is a movie that I watch on Gavin speed. I know the story. It has Michael Jeter. Oh, it's so good. Guys, it is so good. Yeah, check it out. If you're into Westerns and you want to see maybe the best performances of their careers, check out Open Range. It's so good. I can watch it so many times. And for Gavin Speed, it's basically I just click to the scenes that I want to watch. So I can watch a 2-hour movie in like 40 minutes. Just, okay, we're going to go to this one, watch it, go to this one, watch it, go to this one, watch it. Charlie, do you know how old I am? Oh, dude, I love that scene. Oh, it's such a good scene. Oh, and Michael Jeter busting up his foot because he got all hopped up on a damn Cuban cigar. It's so good. It is so good. So you answer the 3 questions for today. Who is your favorite TV family? Oh, maybe Newhart. Come to think of it. The second not the Bob Newhart show, Newhart. The one where they're the innkeepers up in New England. I love that one too. But okay, who's your favorite TV family? MASH. Again, not a family, but definitely a family. So many good ones. Who's your favorite TV family? What is your favorite board or card game? And what is a movie that you can watch over and over and over again? And while you answer those questions, my friends, Javi, I'm so sorry. I pushed the wrong buttons. I know I should leave it to you. Go ahead and send us into the next segment, Javi. Go for it.
True crime headlines.
Guys, just a couple quick headlines. The first one kind of really makes me angry, but here we go. Anonymous nursing board complaint against Christine Wells Wansley is intimidation, written by Lauren Harvey. Dateline Jackson, Mississippi. The Mississippi Board of Nursing has launched a professional misconduct investigation into Christine Wells Wansley, the mother of Nolan Wells, following an anonymous complaint. Wansley's attorney, nationally renowned civil rights and personal injury lawyer Ben Crump, released a statement Wednesday condemning the investigation as a warning shot meant to pressure and silence a grieving mother. Listen, yesterday I talked about all the dillholes who are sending threats against the family and of the boys that were on the boat that day, and against those boys, those absolute idiots, the scum of society that is doing that kind of stuff. And now we've got people apparently on the other side sending in attacks against Nolan Wells' family. Stop it. Everybody, just stop it. Let this investigation continue. Let's find out what happened to Nolan Wells. Please. Oh my goodness. Okay, in the Anna Kepner case, this from TMZ, just a quick one. Prosecutors who are trying to put Anna Kepner's stepbrother behind bars for murder obtained her Snapchat data from her final days and say they have now handed it over to his defense team. Court docs obtained by TMZ show prosecutors fired off a search warrant to obtain Anna's messages and other info from her Snapchat and have now turned it over to the defense, which is appropriate, part of discovery. The Snapchat messages are important because prosecutors have claimed Anna sent her final message on Snapchat at 8:14 p.m. The investigators say Anna's brother, Timothy Hudson, who was sharing the room with her, left the cabin at 10:13 p.m. and returned at 11 p.m. Of course, he's facing charges over her death. Prosecutors claim that he SA'd her and then killed her inside their cabin on the Carnival horizon. Here is Ms. Kepner. Here is young Mr. Hudson. So we are in the dark segment of this case, but you know, where everything is just kind of calming down, but we're keeping our finger on the pulse on that one. Hey, this from LA Magazine, written by Michelle McPhee. FBI began investigating state's case into Sandra Birchmore's case in 2023. Federal prosecutors say that the Norfolk County District Attorney's brief investigation into the death of 23-year-old pregnant teacher's aide Sandra Birchmore failed to record overwhelming evidence that pointed to her alleged killer, a police officer who is also accused of SAing her when she was 15 years old. I love it when the FBI can find a way in. That I think they found a way into the Ellen Greenberg case. That's what we understand. And I love it when they can find a way in. Let's see. The FBI, which began investigating the Birchmore case in 2023, according to a government brief filed on Monday, learned that on the last day of the former Staunton police explorer's life, February 1st, 2021, Staunton Police Detective Matthew Farwell reached out to her in the middle of a blizzard and less than 12 hours before his wife's scheduled cesarean section. In a text, Farwell asked her if he could come by for a second at 9:10 p.m. Birchmore responded that she would leave the door open. Then at 9:37 p.m., prosecutors say Birchmore's cell phone locked for the final time, never to be unlocked again. Anywho, thank you, FBI. Thank you, FBI, for hopping in on this one, because the world would still think that she did it to herself if it were left up to Norfolk County. So thank you, FBI. Okay, turning to Alex Murdaugh. Federal judge dismisses Murdaugh's lawsuit against the former clerk over $600 in trial costs. Dateline, Charleston, South Carolina. A federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit brought by Alex Murdaugh against former Colleton County Clerk of Court Becky Hill, ruling that Murdaugh lacks standing to sue her for $600,000 he spent on the initial trial. U.S. District Judge Richard Gergel tossed out the civil rights lawsuit on Wednesday, today, stating there's no casual connection between the funds Murdaugh spent to defend himself and Hill's subsequent jury tampering, which there's not. So that's tossed. I think he'll probably appeal that. I think it'll probably be tossed on appeal too, or the appeal will be declined. So he can just wallow in his, in his misfortune. He says, tongue planted firmly in cheek after this man in orange was convicted of murdering his wife and son. And had Becky Hill not been such a dillhole, you know what? I feel like I'm going to start using the right word. I'm not going to. No, this is a family show. But oh boy, do I want to sometimes. Yeah, had she just that was an easy case. That was an easy decision by a jury, and now we have to go through it all again. But guys, those right there are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie, let's just check in on what you guys are saying for the 3 questions. Let's see. Find you. I want to scroll down. Okay. Garth B. Nuts says, everybody loves Raymond Family. Question 2 is Uno, and question 3 is Blindside. Blindside is one I can watch multiple times. That's a good one. You're welcome. Love that one. Shawnabo says, love Scattergories. Real Happy says, have you played Nerds? I feel like I have. Hold on. Let me look it up. What is Nerds? I feel like that's one that we play under a different game. Oh yeah. You're doing solitaire and you're doing speed at the same time. Yes, that one is fun. If we must do card games, that one is a fun one. Angela says the Brady Bunch, Sorry, and Sleeping Beauty. All right, good on you. Question 3, The Family Stone. That's one I should watch again. That's the one where the mom has breast cancer and they're all dealing with it, basically, right? Oh, they're dealing with lots of stuff. That's a good one. Becky Johnson, who's on my team tonight, says, haven't watched TV in 40 years, so no TV family favorite. I hate board games too, especially Monopoly. And then You've Got Mail, Groundhog Day. I like both of those. Those are good. Lynn Taylor says, All in the Family, Racco, and the Cowboys with John Wayne. Michelle Mangum, The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride's a classic. It's a classic. Christine says, I'm with you. Hate card and board games. My mom, however, is 82 and plays bridge about 4 days a week. Yeah. Oh, there's a game that Sandy Greenberg plays. She had, I think she still does, but in the house in Pennsylvania, she had an entire room dedicated to this game. I can't remember what it was called, but I thought it was so funny. It was adorable. It was cute. Elizabeth says Newhart had the best finale ever. Indeed, it did. I don't think that we can give spoilers on something that happened 40 years ago, right? It's probably going to be okay. Shaunabo says, question number 3, fried green tomatoes. I've still never seen that. How have I never seen fried green tomatoes? Marie says, loved Little House on the Prairie, and my favorite movie is either Saturday Night Fever or Grease. You're a Travolta fan. Well, yeah, he's a talented young man at the time. A talented old man now. That guy. I can watch the scene from what's the Tarantino movie where he dances with Uma Thurman. I can watch that scene. I like almost nonstop. It's just so good, and it's so simple. The scene, the cinematography, the story, and the talent of the actors on screen is amazing. I love it. I'm dying. I can't remember the name of the movie right now. Clarinet Girl says, I would play Monopoly with my favorite family, the Brady Bunch, while watching favorite movie, The Flight Before Christmas. All right. You like Monopoly. Frida says, can't narrow it down, but The Fugitive, Liar Liar, Horrible Bosses, Hangover, probably a couple of others. I see kind of a theme there, though The Fugitive is the outlier in that one. And then a couple more before we go. Not necessarily a family, but Three's Company was my favorite. Yeah, they're a family. They're a chosen family. Yep, but dill hole with BH is not the proper word. Yeah. My great grandmother, Becky says, taught us a card game called Spite and Malice. It's the only card game I enjoy to this day. Spite and Malice. All right. Real Happy says, don't make us revoke your Southern card over fried green tomatoes. Yeah, that's one that I need to put that on a list and watch it. We've been watching old movies lately from the 80s and 90s. That is one that we definitely need to watch. And yes, it was Pulp Fiction. Thank you very much. That is a great one. And Antis says, Schitt's Creek, Scattergories, Dances with Wolves. Dances with Wolves is close to the perfect Western, but it just goes on so long. And I watched that movie in the theater. My grandparents were in town. I used to go to the movies with my parents all the time. That was like, mom and dad would take us to the movies all the time. And my grandparents would come into town, which I loved. Kimberly and I were just talking about this yesterday, just how much I loved, though we were far away from family as I was growing up, my grandparents made it feel like we weren't. They made an effort and were frequent visitors. And they lived 600 miles away. It wasn't a little jaunt over to our house. It was a 10-hour drive, and they made it on the frequent. But that being said, my grandmother was not the person to go to a movie with. She was the worst. What did they say? Oh, can you believe he did that? You know, like grandma, shut it. It was before I couldn't speak Spanish at the time, but I just wanted to go, cállate la boca, che. You know, that's how I felt. Just stop it. And so I always, when I watch Dances with Wolves, which I have 4 or 5 times since it came out, that must have come out in what, 89, 90, something like that, or earlier? I can't remember. But I always think of Grandma and what a terrible movie companion she was. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we're running out of time. I've been going long tonight. Let's go over to our good news. We're gonna run out of time, but here is some good news. It's not as good as yesterday, but this does make me feel happy. From CBS News, Baltimore City approves $11 million settlement to innocent man who spent 25 years in prison. So the good news isn't that he spent 25 years in prison. It's that he was exonerated, and though you can't be compensated fully for that. He was compensated. The city of Baltimore's spending board unanimously, they better have, approved an $11 million settlement for a man wrongly convicted of a murder he spent decades trying to prove he didn't commit. Anthony Hall spent 25 years in prison for the murder of Gerard Dorsey. Dorsey was killed on the evening of July 13th, 1991. Hall, who was 29 at the time of the murder, was working as a cement worker when he was charged with shooting Dorsey. Hall had 2 small children at the time. Throughout the trial and his time in prison, Hall maintained his innocence but was still convicted of second-degree murder and a handgun charge in 1992 based on the testimony of 2 eyewitnesses. Okay, no physical evidence tied Hall to the murder. In 2004, the Mid-Atlantic Innocence Project reopened Hall's case and interviewed the 2 eyewitnesses, Nancy Hill and Gerald Patterson, who both recanted their original statements, said the Baltimore Banner, a CBS News Baltimore partner. In 2023, Hall was granted a new trial by Baltimore Circuit Judge Charles Peters, and then the state's attorney's office dropped the case entirely. Hall, who filed a lawsuit against the Baltimore PD in 2024, alleged the detectives Donald Liccato, Frank Barlow, and Sergeant John Barrick forced the 2 witnesses into giving false statements at trial. In the lawsuit, Liccato and Barlow were also sued, as well as the estate of Barrick, who died in November 2023. He also alleged that law enforcement, that kind of stuff, that makes me mad. But what makes me happy is that there are people on the sidelines going, wait a minute, let's take a look at this. Let's look at this closely, and let's make right to the best of our ability that which was wrong. And this is one of the reasons, guys, why I do not mind at all. I know it's really easy to hate on defense attorneys, especially when you hate their client. I don't hate anybody, by the way, but you know what I mean. When you just do not like the client, it's really easy to not like the defense attorney. But we want skilled defense attorneys giving competent and vigorous defenses, even to people that we don't like. People like DeForvida. People like that, right? Where you're like, I wish they wouldn't, but I'm glad they do. And that is the good news for tonight. Now, guys, don't forget, in 4 short minutes, we're going to be starting our after show. If you are a member here on YouTube, all you have to do is go to my channel, go to the posts tab, and I have posted a link where you can go see the members only live stream. If you are a Patreon patron, head over to Patreon, where I have posted the link as well. We're both going to be on the same link so that everybody can comment, so that we can spend our time together. Our plan is to talk a little bit about literature. I don't know, it might be dry, it might be fun. We'll see how it goes. And for the rest of you, well, for the members and patrons, I bid you see you later, hopefully in 4 short minutes. And for the rest of you, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here, and I hope to see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. right here on YouTube, or over on Spotify Premium Video, or on podcast, wherever you listen around the world. And I will catch you there. Take care.